Well, that was very good. Thank you very much. And now, of course, our topic here of the night is understanding Obamacare. And I understand, haven't focused upon that yet. But I will say this, I find it very interesting that when Obama first took office and it seemed that his first priority would have been tackling the problems we had in the economy, instead it seems that the first thing that he did was he had in his crosshairs changing health care. Not that it wasn't a priority, but it certainly wasn't the #1 priority. And he basically took everybody's head and turned it, and it was facing the health care issue rather than facing the financial crisis that we were facing at the time. He also said, when he was running for president, candidate Obama said that before any bill was passed into law, it would sit out on the internet for 5 days for everybody to look at before it actually passed. I don't remember seeing that happen with Obamacare. I don't remember seeing that happen with the stimulus plan. In case you guys forgot, it was actually printed at 4 a.m. It was over 2,000 pages. It was voted on 5 hours later at 9 a.m. And when they asked Obama why the stimulus had to be passed so quickly, he said because it was a national emergency and we couldn't wait 5 days. 18 months later, he had spent less than 30% of the stimulus. And of course, he wanted to wait until we get a little bit closer to election year so he could sprinkle the tax dollars like glitter dust all over the districts that he really needs. So the only thing that I think that really stimulated it is him. And I will say that when they first passed Obamacare, they said that the cost of it was going to be $900 billion, which was enormous, obviously, between 2014 and 2022. As it turns out, 4 weeks ago, the Congressional Budget Office admittedly corrected their error. It is $1.8 trillion. It is double that. So I think one rule of financial physics that I think we could agree upon is you can't take a fabric and stretch it over 32 million more American people, and I was going to say citizens, but not all of them are, and think that it's going to become thicker and of better quality and is of less cost. But I can tell you that that clearly is not the case. And we're going to be paying a lot more on entitlements in order to afford Obamacare if this actually does become enacted and it's not struck down in late June by the Supreme Court. There are other things that we see happening in order to create a more top-heavy, I guess, government or bigger government in terms of entitlements. One example, which doesn't seem to be talked about a lot, is the qualification for Medicaid. Right now, a household of 4 can earn up to $23,000 and still qualify for Medicaid. Obama would like to raise that to $31,000 to still qualify for Medicaid. So more and more people need to be taken care of, and the ones who are taking care of them are you. And if Obamacare were to come into enactment, there will be 159 more boards administrated to keep it going, one of which is the dreaded OFR, or the Office of Financial Research, which will have the ability to debit your bank account directly and without your consent in order to pay your medical bills, in order to help pay for Obamacare. So there's a lot that we didn't know about Obamacare, and I guess like Nancy Pelosi said when she was Speaker of the House, we had to pass it before we could really find out what's inside it. So I guess we did just that. Interestingly enough, by the way, it's called technically the Affordable Care Act. My response to those 32 million Americans who are uninsured who expect us to pay for it are, if it's so affordable and you care so much, why don't you pay for it yourselves? Okay? Is that not a good point? Technically, I would think it's Obamacare. So I feel bad that these people do not have insurance. I am not without heart or uncompassionate. It's unfortunate that we live in a world where people can't afford to pay their way. But by the same token, it is not your responsibility to pay their way either. Because if you think about it, taxes are nothing more than mandatory charity when they are being given to people that are against your will. Listen, I give charity myself. I'm sure many of you here give charity yourselves. But when it is being taken from you, that is not charity anymore. That is being mugged. So if you ask yourself, what is the difference between being mugged and having forcible raising your taxes? In reality, nothing. Because if you think about it, what the government is really saying, unless you pay more taxes, you're going to be guilty of a crime, or you're going to take away your freedom. It's tax evasion. Obviously, nobody wants to do that. But in any event, to follow up on Nancy Pelosi's comment that we had to pass it before we could find out what's inside it, we will very shortly now be having Governor Pawlenty tell us what's inside it. I thought I would just give you a little brief background on the governor, who was kind enough to join us this evening. He served as the 39th governor of the state of Minnesota from 2003 to 2011. And his success as governor propelled him to his popular candidacy for the Republican nomination last year. Governor Pawlenty entered into politics at the young age of 28, elected to a term on St. Paul's City Council. He earned his undergraduate and law degrees at the University of Minnesota. He was elected to the Minnesota State House of Representatives in 1992, serving as Majority Leader beginning in 1999. He served 2 terms as governor, re-elected for his second term by 1 percentage point. Currently, he is now serving as national co-chairman of Governor Mitt Romney's presidential campaign and as chairman of the Freedom First PAC. Governor Pawlenty is married to Mary Elizabeth Anderson, a district judge in Dakota County, and they have 2 daughters, Anna and Mara. And with no further ado, the Honorable Governor Tim Pawlenty.
Well, good evening. It's a delight.